Hey, what's up, Pop-Up Camper community? This is Alex with Pop-Up in Real Life. I'm excited to be with you with one of the videos I've been thinking about making for a while. I've been sitting on it, finally got a night that I can put it together. And this is gonna be the pros and cons of buying a pop-up camper. If you're like me, there was a point where I was like, should I buy a pop-up camper? I actually looked for like about 3 or 4 years whether to buy an RV, pop-up camper, maybe just scratch it all and just keep with tent camping. And there was a moment where my friends, Brian and Caitlin, they let me borrow their pop-up camper. If you're watching this, thank you so much. And that was the moment that sealed the deal that we should buy a pop-up camper. So I'm going to share with you some pros and also some cons, and ultimately you've got to make the decision. Is a pop-up camper the right one for you? It's not for everybody, I'll admit that, but if it is for you, you are going to love it. So take a look at this list of reasons you should or should not buy a pop-up camper. Here we go. Number one pro is that a pop-up camper is lightweight and easy for towing. So if you don't want to put pressure on your tow vehicle, or maybe you don't have a tow vehicle that has a great capacity for towing something, then a pop-up camper is for you. We have right now an Acura MDX. Thing does great. It's got a 5,000 pound towing capacity, but we still didn't want to push it. It's our everyday vehicle. We didn't want to push the engine. And so having a pop-up camper, it's been easy to tow, even with the car packed and with a cargo box on the top, no problem. And actually 4 bikes in the back, no problem towing this lightweight pop-up camper. Number two, this sucker, the pop-up camper, is easy for storing. You can see right now I'm in my garage and I actually have it popped up so I can still get inside of it. But we just pop that thing down, put it right in our garage, and it stores great over the winter, keeps it nice and safe from the rain, which is one of the main problems with pop-up campers, is them getting wet. And so we just store it right in here. Could not do this with a camper. There's no way. On the side of our house, we don't have room to get around, and so pop-up camper was a done deal because of how easy it is to store in your garage or under a canopy or whatever your situation may be. Number three, the pop-up camper really feels like a tent with more comfort. So, you know, this nice canvas is thicker than the tent canvas that you have, so it's gonna hold out rain better and wind and things like that. But if you get inside this thing, man, it is so nice. You feel like you're in a tent. You can still, like recently we went to the ocean, you can still hear the ocean and the nice breeze. So you got the tent feel, but you got a lot more comfort. Number four, that might surprise you a little bit, is a pop-up camper has more room than you think. Depending on the size of your pop-up camper, we've got one that's got some nice long bed ends. It's got a queen inside, king on the end, twin on, or a full size on one side. So we got plenty of sleeping room in this guy. And we got some movement inside. And so you're gonna be surprised when you get a pop-up camper, how much room you have. I still remember when we borrowed my friend's pop-up camper and we brought it home. I had it all popped up after we went camping to dry it out, make sure everything was good. And my wife came out and she was shocked as she went inside. And that was one of the things that sealed the deal for her, is that there's so much more room than you would imagine in a pop-up camper. One of the main questions I've seen, and this will be number 5, is that people are wondering, will the pop-up camper keep me protected from the elements? Let me tell you a short story. First time we went out, it was in August. We live in the Pacific Northwest. It was an amazing month of weather, as August usually is in our area. And that night was the only night the entire month that it poured down rain. The one night we took out the pop-up camper to test it out, and I was shocked. Not a drop went inside the pop-up camper. And we brought it home, popped it back up, dried out quickly, and it really does protect you from the elements. We've been out in the rain a couple of times in the cold. You've seen some videos of me sharing about that. And I am shocked at how well this thing keeps you nice and warm. Now, you do need to make sure, and that's gonna be a con, that you gotta dry it out, but this thing really protects you from the elements, whether it's wind or rain or the cold. You're gonna be surprised at how much this thing takes care of you. Now, I forget what number we're at, but this one is great. There is way more storage in a pop-up camper than you can think. You can even look down at some of our storage that we've got in here. We have stuff pre-stored in here, even under the mattress covers that we have here. We have some stuff stored underneath there. And so there's lots of storage, and you can pre-stock things in your pop-up camper. That is so nice to have some stuff already in there. Our kitchenette already has kitchen stuff in there. We've already got garbage bags, paper towels, and we load that up for the whole season, so we don't have to think about it again. So you got lots of storage in the pop-up camper, and you can pre-stock things if you want to. All right, I counted the numbers. We're on number 7. Number seven's a big one because I'm a little tight with my money. I don't like to spend money frivolously. I like to be a wise steward of my money, and pop-up campers are budget friendly. If you take some time to look, I looked for a while, found the one we want, got a great deal on this 1994 Coleman. It needed some work, so we did some fixing up inside. All the bones were good, but if you've seen my remodel video, you've seen some of the things that we've done. I'll give you a tour in one of my other videos of the whole thing so you can see the ins and outs, but really you're gonna be on budget. Instead of spending $20,000, $25,000, you can be in the $2,000 to $5,000 range. You could pay a little bit more. You're not gonna pay much less for a good one, and you're gonna get something that you can enjoy. And so keeping on budget is a big one for the pop-up camper. We didn't want payments on our pop-up camper. We wanted to go enjoy our vacation without any payments that are holding us back. Now, when we talk about budget at number 7, number 8 is the pop-up camper is a great starter. All right, we haven't had any RV or camper before this, and so we wanted to get into camping more than tent camping, a little bit different than tent camping, try something new without breaking the bank. And so we got this Coleman. It's been a great starter. It's helped me to be comfortable with how to back up the pop-up camper and how to use a trailer and how to pack. And so then if we don't like it, want to upgrade to an RV, or we end up moving and having more space, then we can get an RV and we got a little more money, or we can just stick with the pop-up camper. And if we upgrade, we can sell this and we're probably going to get more than we bought for it. And so it's a great way to start into camping without spending a bunch of money. I've known a lot of people who have started with pop-up campers and stuck with them. And I've known some people who have started with pop-up campers and then they move on to a trailer or something bigger as their kids get older. That tends to be the biggest one, as they get teenagers and older kids and need more space. So it's a great start, great place to start. So you don't have to spend a lot of money, as we just said, but you can get into it and give it a try and see what you think. Those are some of the pros. Now, some of the cons are going to be number 1. Let's see if I can remember the numbers this time. Number 1 is you can't go year round. I mean, I guess you could. Maybe there's some pop-up people who have the heaters and do all that. We went in October, at the end of October, and it was really cold, and that was the latest we're going to go. I mean, for us in our area, Pacific Northwest, November to April, we're just not going to go. Just because it's not as enjoyable, and you can't, there is room in here, but are you going to have all the amenities like an RV has or a trailer has, camper? No, you're not. And so if you're pop-up camping, really going year round, you can do it, but I wouldn't say it's going to be nearly as enjoyable as going in a nice RV or camper where you've got a lot more amenities inside. Now, this is probably the top concern, which is number 2, is what if my pop-up camper gets wet? Well, that is an issue. And so you do have to dry it out. If you don't have a garage like we do, it's going to be challenging because you can come home and it still be raining, and you really need to dry your pop-up camper out. This canvas right here, if this doesn't dry out, it's going to get moldy and nasty. We had to clean ours thoroughly. You see that in the remodel video, and we've kept it clean. Fortunately, we've got a garage where we can pop it up and let it dry out. So it dries out really quick. We shut the garage, it's no problem. But if you don't have a space to dry that out, that can be a concern, and you really need to think about that. And the reality, number 3 of a pop-up camper, is you still got to set it up. I think it's easier than setting up a tent, honestly, but pop-up camping is still a lot of work. It's not an easy route. There are some things that make it simpler, I think, but you still got to set it up. You've got to pop it out. You've got to do all the work, and you got to make sure that all the steps are done well with a pop-up camper. If you take things out of order, if you own a pop-up camper, you have to go back and untie things. And so you got to put the work in, and it still does require setup and tear down. Unlike a camper or RV, oftentimes you just roll right in. There's a little bit of setup, but you're ready to go. And so if you're moving night after night, pop-up camper is probably not going to be best for you on like a road trip. But if you're staying at a place for 3 or 4 nights and then moving somewhere else, I think you can do it. But you're going to have to do some setup and tear down. And number 4 con is there's going to be some national parks especially where you can't take a pop-up camper because it's not fully hard-sided. Even if you've got one of the hybrids where just one end pops out or both ends pop out, you're not going to be able to take it because there's bears and different animals that are gonna be a danger if you don't have a hard-sided camper. And so that's gonna be a con for some people where they say, man, I wanna be able to take it anywhere I want. I don't want limitations. For us, that's not a concern. If we ever do the Yellowstone or do that, we'll probably just stay in parts where we can stay. But yeah, that is something to think about. Number 5, when you're in the pop-up camper, you're gonna hear every noise outside. So like right now in our season of life, we've got little ones, and so the crying and the making noise at night, and you're worried about your neighbors. Are you waking them up? Or if there's a dog barking outside, or somebody else's kids are crying, or something's happening, or people are partying, and things like that, and you're wanting them to keep down, you're gonna hear all that. Unlike an RV or camper where it's going to be better, especially if you've got an AC unit or something blowing that's it's canceling out that noise. So that is a reality. It's nice on the Pro to hear all the noise if you got the ocean or you like hearing the breeze, but you're also going to hear those people who are up at night or early in the morning. And so you do have to think about that. And number 6, it's going to be tough if you've got older kids, I would imagine. From people I've heard who have pop-up campers, as their kids get older, it gets a little tougher with space and they just want more space. Now, I've got some friends who they just get their kids a tent. And so their older kids just have a tent outside, and while the family, the younger ones and the parents sleep inside. So I don't think that's a deal breaker, but you might think about that. Older kids are going to want more privacy, want more space. And so it might be more worthwhile to buy something bigger, buy a trailer where you can stretch out a little bit more. But, you know, I like being close together, and I like being as a family together. We don't have teenagers yet, so I may remake this video when I have teenagers and give you a little more insight. But I think that's something you should consider if you've got 14, 15, 16-year-olds who don't want to be all together in a pop-up camper but want some more space or want to have their own tent. Those are things to really think about as you're considering whether or not you should buy a pop-up camper. Now, those are just a couple of things to consider when you're wondering, should I buy a pop-up camper or not? If you have any other questions, post in the comments. We've got a good community started here, and so other people can answer your questions as well. I'm obviously a fan of a pop-up camper for all the reasons that I listed. There's probably more reasons about pros and cons, but those are some of the things that I was thinking about. I'll add this on. I love with a pop-up camper that you still got hook up to shore power. You've got your water. You've got some of those amenities that you wouldn't have with a tent. They make it a little bit easier, but you still got the camping feel. And I think that's for my wife and I in this season. We like that. We want to be out and actually feel like we're camping, not just hiding away in our RV and never coming out, right? We're going camping to get out. That said, we've got friends who have RVs and campers and they love it. So I can't make the decision for you. You'll have to decide for yourself. I suggest starting with a pop-up. It's not a big financial investment. If you don't like it, you can usually resell it and oftentimes make money, especially in our current market that this video is being filmed. So thank you so much for listening to Pop-Up in Real Life. I've got a next video coming where I'll do a full tour of the pop-up camper while we're out camping and give you all the ins and outs. It's gonna be a long one because I'm gonna go through every little facet of the pop-up camper. There's someone in our community who wanted to see it. So if you got any videos you wanna see or things you wanna know, let me know. Hope this is helpful. Hope you get out and go camping and it's real life. That's why I got my sleeping bags. I got my real stuff. I'm not trying to make this video perfect. I still got stuff to put away from my other camping trip. I've got bikes and stuff everywhere, but that's pop-up camping. We're real around here and we enjoy it. All right, hope to see you at the campground.